right now, as you're watching this, I want you to think about something. Think about the last time you felt real pain. Not the kind of pain that comes from a stubbed toe or a paper cut, but the deep, soul-crushing pain that makes you question everything about your existence. The pain that keeps you awake at 3 a.m, staring at the ceiling, wondering if tomorrow will bring more of the same suffering you've been carrying around like a heavy backpack filled with rocks. I know you know what I'm talking about because we all have that pain, every single one of us. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't whether they experience pain or not. The difference is what they do with that pain. Do they let it paralyze them, or do they use it as rocket fuel to launch themselves into the person they were always meant to become? You see, pain is not your enemy. Pain is your greatest teacher, your most honest friend, and your most powerful motivator all rolled into one. But here's what most people don't understand about pain. It's not trying to destroy you. Pain is trying to redirect you. It's trying to show you that the path you're on right now isn't working. It's trying to wake you up from the comfortable numbness that's been keeping you small, keeping you safe, and keeping you exactly where you are instead of where you need to be. I remember when I first understood this concept, it changed everything for me. I realized that every single breakthrough in my life had been preceded by a breakdown. Every time I leveled up, every time I grew, every time I became a better version of myself, it started with pain, it started with discomfort, it started with a moment where I had to choose between staying in my comfortable misery or stepping into the unknown territory of growth. Think about a butterfly for a moment. Before it becomes that beautiful creature soaring through the sky, it has to go through one of the most painful processes in nature. It has to dissolve itself completely inside that cocoon. Everything it once was has to die for what it's becoming to be born. The caterpillar doesn't know it's going to become a butterfly when it's going through that process. All it knows is pain, darkness, and complete transformation at a cellular level. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. The pain you're feeling isn't random. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You're being prepared for a version of yourself that you can't even imagine yet. But here's the catch. The transformation only happens if you lean into the pain instead of running away from it. Most people, when they encounter pain, they immediately start looking for the nearest exit. They want to numb it, avoid it, deny it, or find someone else to blame for it. They'll spend years in therapy talking about their pain. Years in relationships trying to have someone else fix their pain. Years in jobs that slowly kill their souls just to avoid facing their pain. But what if I told you that the fastest way through pain is directly through it? What if I told you that the pain you're trying to avoid is actually the doorway to everything you've ever wanted? What if I told you that your pain contains the exact ingredients you need to build the life you've been dreaming about but never believed you could have? Here's what I've learned about pain through years of studying human behavior and my own personal journey through hell and back. Pain is information. It's data. It's your internal navigation system telling you that something needs to change. When you touch a hot stove, the pain in your hand isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to save you from more damage. It's giving you information that says, move your hand now or you'll get burned even worse. The emotional pain you're carrying right now is doing the same thing. It's telling you that something in your life needs to change. Maybe it's the relationship you're in that's draining your soul. Maybe it's the job you hate but stay in because it's safe. Maybe it's the way you talk to yourself in your head, constantly criticizing and undermining your own worth. Maybe it's the dreams you've been putting off because you're afraid of failure, or worse, afraid of success. Your pain is pointing you toward your purpose. It's showing you exactly what you need to work on, exactly what you need to change, and exactly what you need to become. But instead of listening to this valuable information, most people just want the pain to stop. They want the quick fix, the magic pill, the instant solution that will make everything better without them having to do the hard work of actually changing. Let me tell you something that might sound harsh, but it's the truth you need to hear. There's no shortcut through pain. There's no way around it. There is no magic formula that's going to make your struggles disappear overnight. The only way out is through. And the only way through is by changing yourself from the inside out. But here's the beautiful part. When you stop fighting your pain and start working with it, when you stop seeing it as your enemy and start seeing it as your teacher, everything changes. The pain doesn't necessarily go away immediately, but your relationship with it transforms completely. Instead of being a victim of your circumstances, you become the architect of your transformation. See, I want you to imagine for a moment what your life would look like if you used every painful experience as fuel for your growth. What if every rejection became motivation to improve yourself? What if every failure became a lesson that brought you closer to success? What if every heartbreak taught you something valuable about love and relationships? What if every financial struggle taught you something important about money and abundance? This is not positive thinking. This is not about pretending that pain doesn't hurt or that bad things don't happen. This is about recognizing that pain is raw material, and you are the artist who gets to decide what you create with it. You can create a masterpiece of resilience, strength, and wisdom, or you can create a monument to your own victimhood. The choice is always yours. The people who change the world, the people who build extraordinary lives, the people who overcome impossible odds, they all have one thing in common. They learned how to transform their pain into power. They learned how to use their struggles as stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. They learned that the depth of your pain often determines the height of your success. Think about the most successful people you know, not just financially successful, but truly fulfilled and happy people. I guarantee you that every single one of them has a story of pain that they transformed into purpose. They didn't succeed despite their pain. They succeeded because of their pain. They used it as motivation, as fuel, as the driving force that pushed them to become more than they ever thought possible. Now, I'm not saying that you should go looking for pain or that you should be grateful for every terrible thing that happens to you. What I'm saying is that when pain shows up in your life, and it will, you have a choice in how you respond to it. You can let it break you, or you can let it make you stronger. You can let it close your heart, or you can let it expand your compassion. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. The difference between people who thrive and people who merely survive is not the absence of pain in their lives. It's their ability to find meaning in their pain and use it as a catalyst for positive change. They understand that pain is not the opposite of success. It's often the price of admission to the life they really want. But here's what you need to understand. This transformation doesn't happen automatically. Pain by itself doesn't make you stronger. Going through difficult experiences doesn't automatically make you wiser or more resilient. What makes the difference is how you choose to process and respond to those experiences. You have to make a conscious decision to use your pain as a teacher instead of letting it use you as a victim. You have to choose to look for the lessons, to seek the growth opportunities, to find the hidden gifts that are wrapped up in your most challenging experiences. This requires courage, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort long enough to extract the wisdom it contains. Most people avoid this process because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame other people, to blame circumstances, to blame the economy, to blame their parents, to blame society. It's easier to stay stuck in the story of what happened to them rather than taking responsibility for what they're going to do about it. But easy doesn't get you extraordinary. Easy doesn't get you the life you really want. Easy keeps you exactly where you are, which might be comfortable, but it's probably not fulfilling. If you're watching this video right now, chances are you're ready for something more than easy. You're ready to do what it takes to transform your life, even if it means getting uncomfortable. The first step in using your pain as fuel is accepting it completely. Not fighting it, not denying it, not trying to minimize it, but fully accepting that it exists and that it's part of your experience right now. This doesn't mean you like it or that you want it to continue forever. It just means you stop wasting energy fighting against reality. When you stop fighting your pain, you free up enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy that you can redirect towards solution finding and growth. Fighting pain is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes tremendous effort, and eventually you get tired and the ball shoots up to the surface anyway. But when you stop fighting and just let the ball float on the surface, you can focus your energy on swimming towards shore. And the second step is getting curious about your pain instead of just trying to make it go away. What is it trying to tell you? What patterns do you notice? When does it get stronger or weaker? What situations trigger it? What would need to change in your life for this pain to transform into something useful? This requires you to become a detective in your own life, investigating your patterns, your triggers, your responses, and your choices with genuine curiosity rather than harsh judgment. Most people are so focused on avoiding their pain that they never take the time to really understand what it's trying to communicate. The third step is taking action based on what you learn. This is where most people get stuck because taking action often means making changes that are scary, uncertain, or difficult. It might mean ending a relationship that's no longer serving you. It might mean leaving a job that provides security but kills your soul. It might mean having difficult conversations with people you care about. It might mean investing time and money in developing new skills. It might mean taking risks that could lead to failure. But here's what you need to understand. The pain of staying where you are will eventually become greater than the pain of change. You can choose to make changes now while you still have some control over the process. Or you can wait until life forces changes on you that might be even more difficult to handle. I've seen this pattern over and over again in my own life and in the lives of countless other people. We tolerate painful situations for far longer than we should because we're afraid of the temporary discomfort that comes with making necessary changes. But eventually that tolerance runs out, and we find ourselves in crisis situations where change is no longer optional. Not to know. The people who build extraordinary lives don't wait for crisis to force change. They use their pain as an early warning system that guides them toward making proactive adjustments in their lives. They see pain as valuable feedback that helps them course correct before small problems become big disasters. This is why I want you to start seeing your pain differently. Instead of viewing it as evidence that something is wrong with you or your life, start viewing it as evidence that you're ready for the next level of your growth. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you should give up, start seeing it as a sign that you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once a disaster. Every success story started with someone who was struggling, someone who was in pain, someone who had every reason to quit but chose to keep going. The difference between the people who make it and the people who don't isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. Is their relationship with pain and their ability to use it as fuel for their journey. Your pain is not a life sentence. It's not a permanent condition. It's not proof that you're broken or that you don't deserve better. Your pain is temporary evidence of your capacity for growth. It's showing you exactly where you need to focus your energy and attention. It's pointing you toward the areas of your life that have the most potential for positive transformation. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to sit with the discomfort long enough to understand what it's teaching you. You have to be willing to make the changes that your pain is pointing you toward, even when those changes feel scary or uncertain. This process is not easy, but it's simple. It's not comfortable, but it's incredibly rewarding. It's not quick, but it's sustainable. And most importantly, it's available to every single person who's willing to approach their pain with courage, curiosity, and commitment to growth. I want you to think about the person you'll become as a result of working through your current pain. Think about the strength you'll develop, the wisdom you'll gain, the compassion you'll cultivate, the resilience you'll build. Think about how your story of transformation will inspire other people who are going through similar struggles. Your pain is not just about you. Your ability to transform your pain into power doesn't just benefit you. It becomes a beacon of hope for everyone around you who's struggling with their own challenges. When people see you rise above your circumstances, when they see you use your pain as fuel for positive change, it gives them permission to do the same thing in their own lives. This is how change spreads in the world. Not through people who've never experienced pain, but through people who've learned how to transform their pain into purpose. Not through people who've never struggled, but through people who've learned how to use their struggles as stepping stones to success. You have the opportunity right now to become one of those people. You have the opportunity to take whatever pain you're carrying and transform it into the foundation for an extraordinary life. But this opportunity won't wait forever. Every day you spend avoiding your pain, numbing your pain, or wishing your pain would magically disappear is a day you're not using it to fuel your growth. The universe doesn't give you more than you can handle, but it will give you exactly what you need to become the person you're meant to be. Your pain is not random. Your struggles are not meaningless. Your challenges are not evidence that life is against you. They're evidence that life is preparing you for something bigger than you've ever imagined. But you have to choose to see it that way. You have to choose to respond to your pain with curiosity instead of victimhood. You have to choose to look for the lessons instead of looking for someone to blame. You have to choose to focus on what you can control instead of dwelling on what you can't change. This choice is available to you right now in this moment, regardless of your circumstances. It doesn't matter how long you've been in pain. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried and failed before. It doesn't matter what other people think about your situation. What matters is your willingness to start right now, right where you are, with whatever resources you have available. The path forward begins with a single decision. The decision to stop fighting your pain and start working with it. The decision to stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the architect of your transformation. The decision to stop waiting for external conditions to change and start changing yourself from the inside out. This decision will not eliminate your pain immediately. In fact, it might make you more aware of your pain in the short term because you'll be paying attention to it instead of avoiding it. But this increased awareness is exactly what you need to begin the transformation process. You can't change what you're not aware of, and you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. Once you make this fundamental shift in your relationship with pain, everything else begins to change. You start to notice patterns you've never seen before. You start to understand connections between your thoughts, emotions, and actions that were previously invisible to you. You start to see opportunities for growth and change that were always there, but that you couldn't access while you were stuck in victim mode. This is when the real work begins. This is when you start to develop the skills, the mindset, and the habits that will allow you to not just survive your pain, but to thrive because of it. This is when you start to become the person who uses challenges as opportunities, who sees obstacles as stepping stones, who transforms every setback into a comeback. The process is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you're making tremendous progress, and there will be days when you feel like you're sliding backward. There will be moments of clarity and breakthrough, and there will be moments of confusion and doubt. This is all part of the journey and is all necessary for your growth. The key is to stay committed to the process even when you don't see immediate results. The key is to trust that every step you take, even the ones that feel like steps backward, are part of a larger pattern of growth and transformation that you might not be able to see yet. Think of it like planting a seed. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't see immediate results. For weeks or even months, it looks like nothing is happening, but underneath the surface, roots are growing, The foundation is being established, and the conditions for growth are being created. The visible growth only happens after the invisible growth has been taking place for some time. The transformation process works the same way. The changes you're making on the inside, the new ways of thinking you're developing, the new responses you're choosing, they're all creating the foundation for the visible changes that will emerge over time. But you have to trust the process and keep watering your seeds even when you can't see the results yet. This requires faith, not in some external force or entity, but faith in your own capacity for growth and change. Faith in the process of transformation. Faith that your pain has a purpose and that you have the strength to fulfill that purpose. This faith doesn't come from blind optimism or positive thinking. It comes from understanding the fundamental nature of growth and change. Everything in nature grows through cycles of breakdown and breakthrough. Every living system goes through periods of apparent death that precede periods of new life. The forest that burns down becomes the fertile ground for new growth. The muscle that breaks down during exercise becomes stronger during recovery. The snake that sheds its skin becomes capable of further growth. You are not separate from these natural processes. You are part of them. The breakdown you're experiencing right now is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. But you have to be willing to participate consciously in the process instead of fighting against it. This participation requires you to develop new skills and new ways of being in the world. It requires you to learn how to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. It requires you to learn how to observe your thoughts and emotions without being completely controlled by them. It requires you to learn how to take responsibility for your responses without blaming yourself for your circumstances.